Shalom, shalom Israel. Another week, another Sabbath out here in the highways and byways, preaching forth the truth, the beautiful truth, the gospel, you know, and obviously we always take pleasure in doing so, waking up our brothers and sisters out here in the highways and byways. And that's always done by the grace of Yahweh. So obviously we're going to face the east and also give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Waha, Wapa, Kadash. And obviously massive shout out to the elders and the apostles in the four corners of the earth, preaching forth the truth, waking up a lot of our people, and also using platforms such as YouTube and all types of social media accounts as well to get work done, obviously wake up a lot of brothers and sisters, which has proved to be very effective. And obviously massive shout out to the brothers that have their houses in order, you know, and obviously have their wife in submission as to how the Bible permits it to be. And obviously massive shout out to the sisters that are obviously submissive to their husband, obviously are willing to cooperate and obviously read the truth and also preach forth the truth as well. Obviously acknowledge who they are as a people, etc. So obviously massive shout out to you lot respectively. So the lesson I want to bring forth today is basically showing humility and mercy. Humility and charity. And obviously is essentially, the reason why I'm bringing forth this lesson is essentially a case of doing the opposite of last week's lesson where I proved by the scriptures that being prideful and displaying arrogance will lead to destruction and desolation, whereas doing the complete opposite by showing humility and charity, you know, your reward will be greater in heaven, and the Most High will reward you for that. Obviously, by the grace of the Most High, I shall bring up precepts accordingly. Can someone first and foremost bring up Matthew chapter 19, verse 21? Matthew 19, verse 21.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 21, and it reads, Yahushua said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. Do you want to read it again?
No, actually, yeah, do it again.
Matthew chapter 19 verse 21, and it reads, And Yahushua said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me.
Fine. So obviously that's Yahweh talking, saying to one of his people that, you know, to sustain greater rewards in the kingdom of heaven, or to sustain further more rewards, more substantial rewards than what you have on earth, you know, show charity and also give off to the poor. Whatever possession you may possess, you know, show humility and also show charity by giving on to the poor, people that are also lacking in substances, and also people that require it far more than yourself, you know. So it's also good to show that heart, and also the word also wants us to have heart towards our fellow brothers and sisters, you know. The scriptures continuously preach about showing charity towards one another.
And it's the book of Acts 20 verse 35. I have showed you all things, how that so labouring ye ought to support the weak, and to remember the words of the Lord Yahushai, how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Kind of sums it up like that. It's better to be given.
Exactly, yeah.
Give to the weak. This is why we're here. We're putting out the word for Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, that whoever may, you know, hear this word, you know, and is in a weak state will be lifted up, man.
Exactly.
So we're here. We're not here for the rich. You know, we're here for the poor in spirit, the weak.
Exactly. And just to add on to what the brother was saying as well, when we are obviously showing charity, to fellow brothers and sisters, we've got to do it from the heart. It can't be forced. You know what I'm saying? Because the case where we will not sustain any substantial rewards in heaven if we're just forcing it, you know, because as I always say, the Most High can read our heart, he can read our minds, he knows what goes through in and out of it. So obviously we've got to show it from the heart, and you know, we always got to show that love and humility towards one another, you know. And the direct precept for that is, can someone go to Deuteronomy chapter 15, starting at verse 7, ending at verse 12.
Deuteronomy 15. Verse 7,
yeah, starts verse 7, ending at verse 12.
Deuteronomy 15 and 7. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren with within any of thy gates in thy land, which Yahweh thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thy heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brothers, but thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficiently for his need in that which he wanteth.
So just so quickly, yes, obviously saying that, you know, if you have, if there be a poor among you, and obviously people that are in desperate need for any substances, whether it's money or food, especially when you have people out in the streets, especially when it's our brothers and sisters, that obviously desperately require certain substances. You know, you gotta be willing to provide them substances that they require to fulfill their needs. You know, and it's a case where you can't have your heart hardened as a result of it. You know, like I say, you gotta have that. You gotta be loving, and obviously you gotta be brotherly. You know what I'm saying, towards one another. Read on.
A quick precept.
Yeah, go on.
James 2. Start 14. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding he give them not those things which are needful to the body, what does it profit?
Oh, no, that's a good point.
This Deuteronomy 15 and 9. Beware that there be not a thought of in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thine eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him naught, and he cry unto Yahweh against thee, and it be sin unto thee. Thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him. Because a lot of our people, they give things like, what's the word I'm looking? Through ill will, grudgingly.
Yeah. And sometimes they give wanting more back in return.
So it says, thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him, because that for this thing Yahweh thy power shall bless thee in all thy works, and in all that thou puttest thine hand unto.
Wait, sorry, just quickly. So it says, so Yahweh will bless thee in all thy works and what you do. So it's a case where you might have certain brothers and sisters that might require, for example, I don't know, 10, 20 pounds, etc. Especially the ones that are on the streets and the highways and byways that obviously have no home or no roof to live under. And it's a case where, like I said, you got to be fruitful, and also you can't be grievous when also supplying alms or showing charity towards one another. Because like I said, the Most High will bless you in all your works. So essentially your works will allow you to sustain greater rewards. You know, so that's why you can't be grievous. Just whatever is required to satisfy your brothers and sisters, you should lend on to them, and also you don't hope for anything in return.
The scriptures say, freely give, freely receive. But you got brothers and sisters out here, you know, they reluctantly borrow you £20 and they'll be on to you the next morning. Yeah, you got that money, bro. Not understanding, obviously, their situation's tight. You know, not, you know, you're making it worse.
Yeah.
And the scripture says, your work shall follow you.
Wait, hang on. Let's just finish verse 11 and you can bring yours.
In verse 11, for the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore command thee, saying, thou shalt open thine hand wide unto thy brother, to thy poor, and to thy needy in thy land. 12, yeah?
Let me read verse 1.
And if thy brother, a Hebrew man or Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee.
Actually, read verse 13 as well.
And when thou sendest him out from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy...
So just to sum up, so like, you know, to show like love towards your fellow brothers and sisters, don't let them go out empty, you know, because obviously it's a case where if you're going to be grievous, obviously you shut your hand away or your heart away from your needy brothers and sisters, you know, the Most High is also going to punish you for that. Because you're also not showing love towards your fellow brothers and sisters. And obviously that's what like showing charity and humility comes down to, you know, showing love as what scriptures continuously permit, you know, because even Paul said himself about charity is nothing. And obviously we've got to take that as an example and obviously apply it to our own life and obviously make sure we apply it substantially as well, you know.
And another reason as well, because we're seeking things from the Most High, innit? So if we want him to deal with us like that, we should be able to deal with our fellow brother and sister in like manner, you know?
Exactly.
Just off the back of what Mark was saying earlier as well, because it's all good us giving, but you've got to be in the spirit of wanting to give. That's right.
Not grudgingly.
This is 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 7.
Because some people give just to be seen to be giving. Yeah.
That's right. Especially in this day and age where they're throwing out recording.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Recordings of the situation, man. People are
Like earlier when they were chatting and taking the photos to show, this is
Yeah. So this is the work we're doing. So when they have their little slideshow, it looks great.
Straight on Esau's media.
Yeah.
Pat on the back for you.
This is where sometimes, someone might come and ask us to pray for them, and we might say to them, hey, we're not going to do it out here, to be seen as sight, and then we might say, okay, we'll pray for you in our own time. That's also charity. So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and 7. It says, every man according to his purpose in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly, like I said, or of necessity. For Yahweh loveth a cheerful giver.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah.
Happy to give.
Let me just break down necessity. When it says give out a necessity, that's under duress. So that's when you're being forced.
You
feel like you have to.
Someone bring up Matthew 5, Matthew chapter 5, 5 to 6, and then after that chapter.
Matthew chapter 5 and verse 6. What do you want, 6 to?
5 to 6, and then once you've done that, jump down to 42.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Bring it out.
Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. What is it, 46?
42. Same chapter, verse 42.
Verse 42, Matthew 5:42. Give to him that that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee turn not thou away.
So firstly, a couple of verses up where it says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
That's right.
And obviously, that's exactly what we got to be. We got to have that spirit of meekness, and obviously it's a case where the Most High obviously will grant us to inherit the whole earth. Especially when we rule in the kingdom on top of this throne, on top of this kingdom right here. And obviously, yourself, we're part of that willing, we're part of that number. And obviously, to be part of that number, we also got to do what the Most High commands us to do. We can't do it on will, So obviously, that's another example of showing charity, being meek towards one another. And obviously, our reward would be inheriting the earth. Obviously, verse 6 it says, blessed are they which thirst and hunger after righteousness, for they shall be filled. So obviously, you got to thirst and hunger after righteousness. Things that obviously are good quality and obviously Yahweh's will, not our own will. Nothing that can obviously result to you leading you down the path of desolation and destruction. And obviously when you have an example of that thirst after hunger and righteousness, example like building up brothers and sisters, like making them know who they are as a people. Because not many of our people know who we are, so if you have that spirit on you to let your fellow brothers and sisters know that you're the Hebrew Israelites that the Bible talks about, this is our history, this is who we are as a people, etc. This is the reason why we're in the position we are today, because of our disobedience, etc. Just an example of showing charity by us letting our people know who we are. Remember, like what the word says, if we don't, basically like tell fellow brothers and sisters about sin, the Most High will require blood on our hands. So that's an example of us letting our brothers know that, especially when they go off, that you got to let them know about it. Another example of like showing love and charity. Because at the end of the day, you want to do what's best for your fellow brothers and sisters. Obviously, us as a people, naturally, we want to say, like what the brothers say every week, we have that natural instinct of wanting to save everyone and save everyone. But naturally, we know that we can't save everyone, but it's just in our spirit. And also, that's, even though we know we can't save everyone, but also just having that spirit of like wanting to, be peaceful. Being peaceful with everyone, obviously being loving with everyone. You just got to maintain that spirit and also just be loving always.
Actually, loving your brother, which it says, how can you love your brother that you see it? How can you love the Most High that you can't see it?
Yeah.
And, love your brother
but hate your brother that you have seen.
Because a lot of our brothers and sisters throw around that word love.
Exactly,
they might pass over some drugs to your brother and say, love my brother, love for that.
Exactly,
when that's really showing hate. So man, real love is showing your brothers and sisters the keeping of the law, statutes and commandments.
Exactly,
that is the highest form of charity, is love.
If I may just say, Brother Bashar, because a big part of this thing we're involved in is sacrifice. And sacrifice is also a charity, you check it. Because Yahweh Shai, that was the ultimate charity there. He sacrificed, the Most High sacrificed his son in order for us to be even here today, standing, bringing out this word. I just want to put a precept out. I'm not sure. This is Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7. It says, if there be among you a poor man, or one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land, which the Lord Yahweh thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut up thine hand from thy poor brother.
That's the spirit. That come out twice.
Oh, that came already?
That's what we just read here.
Oh, was that Deuteronomy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought that sounded familiar. No, it's not a problem. Actually, yeah, bring up yours.
This is 1 Corinthians 13, and I'll start 1. It says, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become as a sounding brass or tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I can remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. And that word charity, when you look up, it's the same word as love.
When I looked it up in the blue, I think it's
Agape.
a higher form, the highest form of love.
Yeah, so see when you read 1 John 5 and 3, for this is love of God, it's the same word.
Some people get it twisted when they hear the word charity means to just give something to somebody, but it's deeper than that.
I want to read verse 8. 1 Corinthians 13 and 8 says, charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail, meaning they'll come to pass. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. You know, so yeah, charity never fails, man. Love.
Yeah, go on now.
This is Proverbs 21 and 13. It says, whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard.
Yeah, because the Most High is going to stop his ears when your prayers stop,
That's
man.
right.
Someone bring out Romans 15 and 26.
No, it's him. He's giving problems. This is the book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 28.
26.
26. Romans chapter 15, verse 26, and it reads, For it hath pleased them of Macedonia and Acre to make a certain contribution for the poor saints which are at Jerusalem.
And also that's oh no, that's wait, that's 27 now.
Is that 26?
Yeah, that's 26 here. That's fine. So obviously that's obviously the Apostle Paul talking. Obviously that was at the time period where Paul was obviously conducting his ministry, basically finishing off what Yahweh started. Obviously that's like the kingdom of Israel. And obviously what Paul was doing, he was going to multiple regions around the world. He was going to Rome, he was going to Greece, specifically in Macedonia, Corinthian, places like Ephesus as well. You know, to basically like to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. At that time we were regarded as Gentiles. Obviously it's a case where, I like what the brother brought out as well, he was also charitable, you know, without charity was nothing. So it's a case of wherever he went, he always wanted to make contributions to the poor, you know. And also it's the case where these were people that also poor in all angles as well. They were poor financially, they were also poor in terms of spirit, you know. And also, you know, the spirit was put on Paul to obviously be charitable to fellow Israelite brethren and sisters, you know. And obviously, like what the word said, he made contributions onto the poor. First and foremost, bringing the ministry onto them, obviously waking them up, and obviously like even from a financial perspective, supplying them money, which obviously knows like giving alms as well.
And you know, when we are charitable one to our brothers, that's like us being charitable to Yahweh Shai himself, man.
That's right, exactly.
And it's like being charitable to yourself.
Can't.
Could someone bring out Psalms 41 and 1?
You see, he that giveth one of his
Psalms
men
chapter 41 at verse 1. Blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord Yahweh will deliver him in time of trouble.
So you know, that's what King David said. Blessed is he that considereth the poor. And also it's the case where when you're in a time of trouble, Yahweh will deliver you out of times of trouble, you know. So it's a case where that's why it's important to consider the poor. And it's a case where they might be poor in spirit, they might be poor in knowledge, they might be poor financially. You gotta, you know, supply them substances that will allow them to be very sufficient, you know. So you always got to bear that in mind. As much as you want to look out for yourself and also making sure that you're good out in all angles as well, spiritually, financially, in terms of knowledge, etc. You got to make sure your fellow brothers and sisters are up to date and up to scratch as well. You know, because the word commands us to love our neighbours as ourselves, and also with our brothers as well. So also you always got to consider the poor as well and the needy.
That's a good point, like, because before you can sort or show love to your brethren, you need to be showing love yourself. You need to get yourself right first before you can even tell your brothers anything. So it actually always starts with you.
That's right.
So it's going to start at you, and from then you pass it on.
That's also where it ends.
That's right, and it will end.
Luke 6:34.
Luke chapter 6.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 34, and it reads, "And if ye lend to him, and if you lend to them of whom ye hope to receive, what thank have ye? For sinners also lend to sinners, to receive as much again."
So you know when we are
Actually, can you read 33? Read 33.
Verse 33 of Luke chapter 6. Read? Yeah. "And if ye do good to them which do good to you, what thank have ye? For sinners also do even the same." Verse 30. Verse 30 of Luke chapter 6. "Give to every man that asketh of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not again." And verse 31. "And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise." Verse 36 of Luke chapter 6. "Be ye therefore merciful as your Father also is merciful."
Can I just add, be therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So that complements that.
And just to add on to what the brothers are reading and also stating as well, the fact that naturally when we do as a people, when we borrow people money, our first instincts, especially the ones that are very hardened in spirit, they're always so quick to phone up and text to be like, "Oh, you just remember you got my money, just remember don't forget to pay me back," etc. Like what the brother was saying, because a lot of our people just love money. Like they don't really know the word charity, you know. And there's a case where, like I said, they're just concretely paranoid about when they're going to receive the money back. Because like what Yahweh said, sinners do what sinners do. They borrow onto sinners and hope for a return. Where it's us, you know, we got to borrow and not hoping for a return of investment or
About usury as well.
or your usury. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we're not meant to charge interest, you know. And there's a case where if we do borrow, like we can't be eager in hoping to receive back, because like Yahweh said, our reward in the kingdom of heaven will be greater. So we can't really worry about the things that we possess on earth, you know. Because even Yahweh said himself, the abundance of a man is not one of the things that he possesses. So things like money and all that stuff, like we can't really we can't really take too much care into that type of stuff. You know, we've got to be charitable and also, like I keep saying, like give unto people that require it the most. You know.
Good precept. Yeah, this is Luke 6, and verse 38. It says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again."
The scriptures also says that be ready to entertain every man, but know it's roughly paraphrasing that you have entertained angels.
That's right.
So like I say, man, you might give to someone and unknowingly
Might be
that's
a
the
test,
angel.
Final one, Deuteronomy 22 from 1 to 4.
Deuteronomy 22 verse 1. "Thou shalt not see thy brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt in any case bring them again unto thy brother. And if thy brother be not nigh unto thee, or if thou know him not, then thou shalt bring it unto thine own house, and it shall be with thee until thy brother seek after it, and thou shalt restore it to him again." And this is where they get that law over here when they say theft by finding. Because you're meant to hand in something that you find.
But then there's also a stipulation where if someone's not collected it over a certain amount of days.
It says, in like manner, I don't think they're telling that before. So in like manner, shalt thou do with his ass, and so shalt thou do with his raiment, and with all lost thing of thy brothers which he has lost, and thou hast found, shalt thou do likewise. Thou mayest not hide thyself. Thou shalt not see thy brother's ass or his ox go down by the way, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt surely help him to lift them up again.
So you know, like what the scripture has said, you know, when our brothers are in a state where they're on the low, we gotta help build them back up. You know, when we see the sheep and the ox go astray, we gotta help them find it. Don't keep it for ourselves. So basically, don't be selfish. You know, don't use your brother's substances in order to benefit yourself.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta help them build a tower again. You gotta lift them up spiritually, on a physical level as well. You know, because obviously you have certain brothers that obviously like have like certain mental illnesses, and obviously some even physical illnesses. And obviously, the case we gotta like at that period of time show them complete love. You know, and obviously again build them up and don't just make sure that they don't go completely off. Like you're meant to like revive, you know, meant to be helping the fellow brothers, like revive them spiritually, you know. And it's a case where, because of a lot of brothers as well, even sisters, where sometimes they ain't got enough money that to pay their rental bills, or they might require money for food. And it's a case where they may not be in work, or they lost their job. And obviously at that point in time where you gotta show love, but also giving them money to make sure that, you know, they're well fed. And obviously they got a roof over their heads, you know, and obviously make sure that they can pay their water bills in order to shower and basically just to live sufficiently, you know. And that's exactly what we've got to do. We've got to lift each other up. And and obviously the case where this is why I say that, you know, we can't be boastful and arrogant, because obviously, like I said last week, that's also leads to destination, where when we apply this leads to the opposite of destination, destruction. This obviously allows us to sustain greater rewards, and obviously our heavenly Father, Hashem Shai, will reward us openly as a result of us being charitable towards our fellow brothers and sisters.
Before you read that as well, even that law and the lost stuff, because of the state that we're in as a people, like we're the poor, sometimes, you know, we might see that as a hard thing to do because of the situation you're in. Don't make that spirit come upon you, car. You see someone drop a wallet, you see he's fatted. Instead of like, yo, you drop this, man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, they deep back to them, you know?
I was gonna say, and that's how we know as well that it is gonna be the meek that inherit the earth, because it's always those that normally have less that are the biggest givers.
Yes, it's true. Yeah,
That's true. Hospitable.
You're right.
I can vouch for that, because I used to go around people's houses building certain structures in their gardens. The only people that would offer you something is the people that ain't got that. When you go to these big mansions and that, they leave you to it, man. They close the door behind you. You go into a little casino, they ain't got much. Tell them what you want something to eat, you want tea, you want something. That's true.
Yeah. In fact, I quickly. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, that's how the rich, as in rich with material things, stay rich and get richer.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's based on greed. They got a spirit of greed on them.
But they're putting spirit.
That's right.
Yeah, and just to add on to what the brother said as well, that's why we look at these rich athletes, whether it's football, MMA, basketball, etc. You know, they're the ones that don't really donate to. They're the ones that don't really like offer any substantial amount of money. Because like what the brother said, that's how they get rich and rich, because, you know, they just invested for themselves. But you think to yourself, all these charities are asking for money and in order to help people. Also, we know it's a scam deep down.
Right.
At the same time, on the carnal level, so to speak, you're thinking, how are these charities lacking in money? So you're thinking, surely that these people that are rich, even the people that run the society, why can't they give money onto these charities that are in desperate need of it? Obviously, you know, it's often the case for a lot of our brothers that they're just greedy and selfish anyway. So even if it's a case where they generally required it, a lot of our brothers sadly wouldn't be willing to give it anyways. They don't even give it towards our own, which is also very sad. But also those are the ones with hearts in the spirits, and obviously can't allow ourselves to sustain that type of spirit.
And I was just going to say one more thing as well. It's not all about just the giving of money as such. It's not like, all right, here's 40 quid, because you know some of our brothers are suffering. You might give them 40 quid, they might not have a place to stay. You give them 40 pounds, and then they go spend it on drink and further, you know, their sin. Might go buy drugs. So you need to use wisdom, which is, you know, for the fear and the love of the Most High. Keeping the commandments will gain you wisdom to know what kind of charity someone needs. They might just need a meal. Well, you don't have to give them money as such. They might need someone to talk to. They might need an ear. That's a beautiful example.
Just on a quick side note, the law says that a man should have a beard. That don't mean you shave it off and paint it on.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 6. Verse start 8, it says, for some men is a friend for his own occasion.
That's right.
And will not abide in the day of thy trouble.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm going to jump to.
Yeah, so what that is now, a brother will give because he has his own ulterior motive. Yeah. But when things go bad for you now, then you see whether,
Verse 14, it says, a faithful friend is a strong defense.
That's right.
And he that hath found such, and one have found a treasure, man.
That's right. That's right.
True friend is a treasure.
That's right.
100%, defense is in Hebrew would be defense in Hebrew would be equivalent to the Hebrew word ad. So the Hebrew word ad is an A with a K. And if you look at the K, it's actually a fence. It looks like that, it's a fence. So an ad is a brother that would defend, that would stand in front of his brother. And that's also a friend. So that's why so that's why a friend and a brother is equivalent in the scriptures.
And that's why I'm a big brother this quickly. That's what he was, man. He stood in front for us.
That's what he did. He took it for us.
He told us to do the same way.
That's right.
To do the same, present our bodies the same way he did.
And that's why we have to constantly examine ourselves. Because no matter, we say all the time, no matter how many scriptures we're bringing down and breaking, we're bringing out and breaking down. We need to make sure we're applying them and walking in that spirit.
Big push to follow.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, definitely. But it's better to try and fail than never have tried. Yeah.
And it is doable. That's why you want to get. Scripture says the Most High don't give us more than we can bear. So to lend to your brother, like Brother Red, don't do it grudgingly, do it cheerfully, man.
Start from now.
One of my friends' daddy used to say, give me 10 and now. Give me 10 and borrow me 5.
That's Jake.
So he ends out that, I say just give me back a 5.
So with that,
Are you finished?
yeah.
I got a piece.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So this is the. Let's find this.
Wait, is the battery gonna go?
Oh yeah, here we go.
No.
This is the book of James, chapter 4 and verse 10. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, and He shall lift you up.
Always got to be humble and also not be arrogant, because like I said last week, like, you know, it leads to destruction. Obviously, when you're the complete opposite of that, you get your rewards, and obviously it's just more of a convenient spirit to walk in, because obviously, you know, like you're just in general, like you'll just receive great rewards, like you walk in a positive light, etc. Obviously, you know, and that's exactly the way it's got to be. And also, you got to thank the Most High for putting that spirit upon you.
Right, that's just thinking.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because, you know, you got to thank the Most High, He's the one that puts these spirits upon us. So, when we are charitable, showing love, you got to thank the Most High and give all praises to Him always, you know. Yeah, so with that, Israel, hopefully it was an edifying lesson for you. Hopefully you learned something to its sincerity, entirety. Also, hope the information was presented accordingly so you can understand it accordingly. And, you know, and for those watching, and if it's a case where previously it was a tendency where you didn't show any charity or love, etc., hopefully this has convinced you to start showing love and charity, because, you know, there's a great reward at the end of this.
Quick check. This is Romans 13. Romans 13. verse 8. Owe no man anything but to love one another, but he that loveth another has fulfilled the law.
Right.
It says, verse 10, love worketh no ill to his neighbour. Therefore love is the fulfilling of the law.
There you go. Sums it off. So those of you that are also watching this, prior to this, didn't have any of that form of charity or love, or had a very limited form of charity love. Hopefully this has convinced you to increase that to a substantial level and also start walking the way of righteousness, because obviously the word teaches you about being love and brotherly towards your fellow brethren, and towards your family members. So hopefully you walk in the right spirit, and obviously continuously see the Most High, always pray to the Most High to put a meek spirit upon you, to walk in the way of righteousness. And obviously from that day onwards, you can also build spiritually, obviously, better yourself, and obviously, do what I'm doing, obviously, like wake, and obviously us brothers are doing as well, obviously, waking up a brother and sister, also just like continuously just seek righteousness, and nothing more, nothing less. So also,
Get one more precept.
Yeah, go on now. Yeah.
This is, I don't know if Baba brought it out, maybe probably did more than likely. Okay, but this is 1 Peter chapter 4 and 8. You bring that up? It says, and above all things, fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover a multitude of sins. And that's what we need. We need for our sins to be covered.
And you know what? The precept to that in the Apocrypha, it says arms covereth.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
All the more reason to have a meek spirit, and also and display some charity, because your reward will be substantial. Mostly, just the Most High will just bless you forevermore. And hopefully you're edified. Mostly, hope this has inspired you to walk to exert some charity towards fellow brothers and sisters. And also hope the information was presented accordingly, so you can be edified accordingly. And also, and also, who knows, maybe start your own ministry, and also start preaching as well. And also, again, hopefully you're edified. So
before you finish, this is Tobit 4 and 10. It says, because the arms do deliver from death, and suffereth not to come into darkness. Verse 11, for alms is a good gift unto all that give it in the sight of the Most High.
Again, just to solidify the point, this is why, we've got to uplift fellow brothers and sisters, and obviously wake them up, and obviously show them love. Show them love according to how the word permits you to show love, not to how you might deem love, because your meaning of love might be different from the words. Obviously, it's got to read the word, preach, and obviously show humility and charity towards fellow brothers and sisters, obviously those that are within your own household as well. That's how obviously we show love, etc. As part of the commandments as well, so you have pretty much no choice but to do so. So obviously again, hopefully.
Last one. Tobit 12 and 9. For alms does deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. Those that exercise of alms and righteousness shall be filled with life.
Purges away all sin, so there's no better way to start. And the thing is, the Most High doesn't even really ask for much. He only asks for little. We have, us as a people, we have a list of demands as to what we want, but all the Most High wants is us to follow the rules and commandments. It's very, very, very simple. Yes, there's obviously over 600 of them, but at the same time, we've got to take into account that we're the only nation that will give and present us the law, statutes, and commandments. So obviously, we've got to take that as a blessing. So, no other nations have that privilege. So this is why you've got to walk the way of righteousness, and obviously, and also see it as a concrete privilege that the Most High, that we're under the wing of the Most High. So obviously, all the more reason to show charity towards one another. So obviously, again, hopefully you're edified, hopefully the information is presented to you accordingly, and hopefully this has inspired you to start showing love and charity towards your fellow brothers and sisters, and hopefully this has put a meek spirit upon you. Y'all are willing, and obviously pray to the Most High to keep putting these meek and blessful spirits upon you, so that way you can obviously, be born of the word, etc. Obviously walk in the way of righteousness. So with that, we're gonna face So we're gonna close out, face the east, and also give all praises and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Wahab, Rakah, Kadash. Shalom.
That's right.